So we can officially begin another Wednesday Wellness. As always, I'm Amy Ward-Brimmer here at Way Opens Wellness. And today I want to talk about something that I've been noticing in myself for quite a long time, like several decades, pretty much from the time that I began taking Alexander technique lessons, and certainly since I began mindfulness meditation 15 or 20 years ago. And then it also relates to trauma recovery, my own trauma recovery, but also for others who are survivors of some kind of trauma. But you don't have to be a trauma survivor to notice this going on in you. And what I've noticed is something I talked about a few weeks ago, kind of on steroids. It's kind of negativity bias times 10. And that is this hypervigilance that a lot of people experience. It is related to this negativity bias idea that, once we have an adverse experience, our minds, our brains are hardwired to look for trouble, even without having had any kind of difficulty or, bad experience. We have developed, we have evolved as creatures that look for trouble and try to be prepared for it. But hypervigilance is a little bit different. Hypervigilance is it's technically it's described as a heightened sense of awareness, but it's not real awareness. It's not an open awareness. It's a heightened attention, which is really a projection about the future that's started out probably for most of us as a protection, as a defense, a healthy defense, but has morphed into this habitual kind of projection of catastrophe or danger that's not there. So, I mean, if you're walking down a dark street at night and you're alone and it's quiet and there's not too many other people around, and you hear someone walking behind you and you turn to see who it is and it looks like a kind of dangerous character, certainly you're going to go on to high alert. That's warranted. That would be wise, to be hyper aware of your surroundings and the potential for danger. But if that kind of level of threat awareness is happening, say, when your partner is a few minutes late getting home from work, and you start to go into this, oh my God, what's happening, and catastrophizing and thinking, oh my God, something terrible, that's hypervigilance. And one of the things that I've been so blessed by in studying the Alexander technique and also mindfulness meditation is that it totally changes the habit of hypervigilance. In my case, I grew up in a very dysfunctional family where unpleasant, dangerous, bad things happened on a regular basis. But I didn't ever know when those bad things were going to happen. And so as a child, I developed this hypervigilance, kind of waiting, trying to be prepared for the next bad thing. And then what happens is, you begin to expect the worst. And what the Alexander technique has done for me is to give me, and it gives us, this kind of awareness, but it's spacious and easeful, and there might be a lot of energy in it, but it's an open sense of being prepared, sort of ready for anything, in a state of responsiveness versus a state of reactivity. So to compare and contrast hypervigilance with the sort of sense of being prepared and ready for whatever might be about to happen. The characteristics of hypervigilance are tension, the sense of expectation, but not sort of a happy, open expectation, but a closed, tight, tense, something bad's about to happen tension. So we're bracing ourselves both physically and mentally because we're assuming the worst. And there's a lot of fear and negative anxiety. And when you're in this state of bracing yourself for whatever the next bad thing's going to be, that level of tension makes it very easy to be startled. So if you've ever come up behind someone, which you probably should never do, but if you've ever come up behind someone and sort of tap them on the shoulder and they jump, they're in a pretty hypervigilant state if they're, very jumpy like that, easily startled. The interesting thing about that, though, is that it locks you into that state. So you actually can't respond authentically to whatever might be happening. Or it's a delay. It takes a lot more effort to respond to what's happening because it's almost never what you think it's going to be. I guess occasionally you might guess right. And then these actions or reactions tend to be very stereotyped. They tend to be this sort of automatic, habitual, stereotyped response that may or may not be appropriate to the conditions of the moment. So the body closes down, it's very tight. The mind closes down because we're not open to the possibility of anything else happening except what we're catastrophizing about. And maybe the worst thing about hypervigilance, I mean, there's many health. This is stress, high stress, and it's not great for the body. It's not, obviously physically good for us to be holding that kind of tension in body and mind. But what I really have discovered, the biggest downside, in my opinion, is that when that's the only filter you can see things through, you're missing a lot of beauty, a lot of goodness, the possibility of some positive, pleasant things. So by contrast, what we learn in the Alexander technique and in mindfulness practices is to be more present, embodied presence in the moment with a kind of openness, a kind of curiosity. It's a way of cultivating don't know mind. Like, I don't know. It's true, I may have data from previous experience that's informing what I think might be happening, but I'm ready with the option that it might not be what I think it's going to be. And I can use this data from previous experiences to support my response rather than being oppressed by it and, oh, that really bad thing happened and it's going to happen again. So there's a kind of steadiness, a kind of groundedness, a kind of what in Buddhist parlance is equanimity, balance. And we take a wider global view. It's not so narrow. There's the possibility that, good things might be happening, or, my partner's 15 minutes late, he's never late. Yes, I can think of lots of scary things that might be causing that. It might be something else, though. And the ability to hold that I don't know space is a hallmark of this. I'm ready to meet whatever conditions arise. And because we're in a state of readiness, this is called poise, right? This is one of the definitions of poise. We think of poise and grace as a kind of movement thing, but it's also an internal state of being able to change direction quickly, being able to respond in the moment rather than being stuck or stiff. And that kind of brings a total integration of our whole self, of the body, mind, and heart. So you're actually more aware and more responsive when you practice noticing when you're hypervigilant and practice some of these grounding techniques that we're about to do that may help us settle and be grounded, and then be really ready to meet. There might be a really horrible thing happening. And in fact, as you know, as you practice these things and you meet difficulty, the things we're about to do can help calm you so that you're more ready to meet what's difficult or hard. But they also can help you kind of back down off of your hypervigilance, when I would say the majority of the time there's nothing that bad happening or going to happen.